Hi guys, I wanted to go ahead and make a video that explains the sketchbook assignment for you and what I'm looking for in the sketchbook assignment. So last week we talked about constructing cubes and cylinders. See, I have a couple examples of some cubes and some cylinders here. Real quickly, I'm going to do a real quick review and then I'll go into the sketchbook assignment. So we have our cubes and our cylinders. I made you guys practice those so many times because we can do a lot of building, a lot of drawing by just knowing cubes and cylinders, and I just wanted to show you a couple things about that. So for the cube, for example, cubes, they can be rectangles, they can be tall and skinny, they can do all kinds of things they want to be. They don't necessarily have to be those perfect exact cubes. But one thing I do want you guys to understand, and some of you guys did this with the Lego assignment, is that you can take a cube, let's take this cube for example, or a rectangle, and we can turn it into a complex shape by slicing it apart, meaning we can take spots on here, there we go, we take spots on here, and I can follow those lines and create something a little bit more complex of a shape just by using our the principles of the cube here. So I can take that cube and I can slice it off a little bit like that. That's probably more up there, but you get the idea. And create a more complex shape out of that. I can even come over here, cut some of this off, and draw these lines back so I can see what I'm doing. So, and then that would be back there and we would lose that part and that would be more important. And then you end up having one of these little more complex shapes just from the cube. So by understanding how you can kind of do that in space, it's going to help you draw pretty much anything, and totally going to help you guys out. So the cylinders, we talked about ways to do the cylinders. You can use the rectangle, fill it in, go back method, and follow the lines. I tend to just use one line in space, and then I start defining my circles, where I want them, how big I want them to be, and then I just connect the lines a little bit. This kind of becomes the center line. That's why I use that. Another thing you can do with the center line, and I have kind of a one started over here, is I can create a smaller oval up here at the top, and now all of a sudden I've gone from making a cylinder to a cone. So my cone then can become a more complex shape. I can even now I'm starting to get some more complex shapes out of just those cubes and cylinders. So let's talk about the sketchbook assignment now. So for the sketchbook assignment, we're going to use these cubes and these cylinders, and we're going to construct some more complex drawings by using these shapes. So let's see, let's buy that. Let's go to here. There we go. Let's go ahead and put this guy in here. So I've got an object. So your goal for your sketchbook assignment is going to be to draw 3 different objects using these construction drawing techniques. So the way I like to think about it is I like to think about it in terms of sketch, refine, refine again, and define. So when you're drawing something, and I see this happen with a lot of you guys, is you start to go and you start to draw, let's say you're going to draw this blender, and you start to just kind of draw outlines of it until you get around here, and then there's that, and then there's that on top. This is an okay way of doing it. We're going to talk about that way of doing it later, but what I want you guys to work on is constructing it using shapes. So in order to use that sketch, refine, refine, define move, we start to look at kind of the shapes of the that we have here on our blender. So I start really simple. I just start with the fact that the blender is basically a rectangle shape. It's also a 3-dimensional rectangle that we can kind of see right there. That's about the horizon line just by looking at it. And there we go. So we have a rectangle. So let's start with that. This becomes the sketch. Now when we sketch, nice loose lines, not anything too complex. So there we go, there and there. And then we're getting up into here, here, and that becomes kind of our basic shape. So we have the basic shape of it. And we can break this down even further. So let's go ahead and break this down a little bit further. If I look at this, I can see that there is basically a cube right here. All right, we're still sketching. So let's go into that cube. We have a cube. Let's go over here. We have a cube, we have a cylinder right there, and let's just call that a rectangle for now. So if I come back over to my first drawing, this one over here, and I start to kind of make that cube, it's going to be kind of right there. I'm going to go ahead and finish out the rectangle here so I can see the back of it a little bit. Now I've got this cube right here, which I'm going over, nice loose lines, still sketching, probably closer to that. Still sketching, cube, cube, right there, and then we've got a cylinder sitting on top of it. So the cylinder is going to be a little bit smaller than the actual rectangle. So I'm going to come up here, kind of just start a cylinder up here, and drop it down. Well, it's kind of at an angle a little bit if I look over there, but that's okay. We're just gonna start simple. Cube, cylinder. There's my cylinder on the bottom. Right there. Right about there where that horizon line is, I'm just gonna go ahead and add the next part. It looks like another little cylinder just kind of right there, which I'm not gonna really see the top of. So kind of live right there. Now I'm getting into this. I'm refining, refining, and defining. That's where we're starting to get to here with the sketch. Refine, refine, and define. So let's just go ahead and start refining. And we're just going to start building this thing back up here a little bit. So we got that right there. There's that little rectangle right there. Actually, it's going to stop over here. And now let's go ahead and let's get into this a little bit. So up here, this is going to get a little bit more of the actual shape of it here. As I'm refining, I am, look, there's a little rectangle on top of that too. We can drop that in. Just like that. There's that little rectangle, that little rectangle. It's going to look a little sloppy, but that's what you're doing. Your construction drawing here. This isn't going to be your final yet. This would just be one of those like study pieces for your final, and then you can start to draw it a little bit nicer if you wanted to. But for this is great to learn how to draw a bunch of different things. So let's go ahead and put a top on that, where that top is going to be, and then there's going to be that little rectangle on top. See, I'm starting to define it a little bit more. Now let's get into this. This is the craziness down here, this cube at the bottom. I'm going to jump into this before I do the handle. Well, I'll do the handle first. Down here, just really quickly, loosely sketch it out. Kind of look at where the lines are at. There's that. Now let's get down here a little bit. Now over here on the sides, it's a little bit more complicated. It's got some curve over here. It's got this part sticking out. So we're just going to kind of find out by just measuring a little bit. So it's about halfway. So that should be about halfway. It goes up, over, around. This thing comes down a little bit, even comes out a little bit because it's going to go that way. That way. We're starting to add another rectangle kind of on top of our cube here. That way. And then we got the feet down here at the bottom. And then we curve that part around right there. That goes up higher than those feet over there. Goes over here, right to there. And we got that corner. There's the leg, the other leg. there, and I'm just starting to refine it a little bit more and a little bit more every time. Let's go ahead and put some shapes there. Those aren't that important right there. Put some lines over here, and then we can start to kind of clean it up. So you see what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of building from those shapes. I'm taking my time and really working it out. It's going to also help me look at every little detail so that I don't get any of my details mixed up. That's the key to a really nice drawing, is just being able to see those details and understanding how to kind of fit it in space. And we basically have a sketch that kind of looks like, oh, that angle's off. That kind of looks like what we're looking for here. So that is the process. What I want you guys to do is choose 3 objects. Let's pull this one up here. Choose 3 objects. You can pull them up off of the internet. You can find something in your house, an object in your house. Try to find something that's a little bit more complex than just like a box of tissues, and you'll be happy. And go ahead and try to work it out. So you have 3 drawings. You can do those drawings on a separate piece of paper each, or you could put them all 3 on one sheet of paper, but just try to remember this process. I want to see this process. That's what I'm really looking for in these sketches. I want to see your process. So have fun. These will be due on Friday, and I can't wait to see them. If you have any questions about them, let me know. Stop me in class, anything. All right, see ya.